Yes, I am literally filming this immediately after the first video, but that's because this is the video I actually wanted to stop and shoot for. So, the mid-year book Freakout tag. Like I said, this is the one I've been seeing so many videos of this and it looks so fun. And I wanted in on it. I wanted a piece of that cake. So here oh god, why is there so many? Okay, I should have organised these first. But I didn't. I just put them all in a pile. Put them in a pile really high up. Like, in comparison to where I'm sat. So, doubly dumb. This isn't everything I've read. Because to do everything I've read would mean taking books from digital and manifesting them in the real world. And that's just not going to happen. Or rebuying the books I've gotten rid of, and I'm not doing that either. These are all the books I've read so far this year. When I look plus 2 more, 3 more, 3 more, plus 3 more, 4 more. These plus 4 more. That's a lot when I look at it. I've accomplished a lot this year, fuck. And this is only half the year, and I'm still unemployed. Nothing's changed in the last 10 minutes, so still got plenty of time to read. The only frustrating thing is that I am filming this with one book that's like half a series because I'm still reading a duology. And I am probably also filming this quite late, but that's fine, who gives a shit? Anyway, so I have nowhere to put these. What was I thinking, man? So, best book of the year. And now, listen, if by some cosmic disaster anybody from my real life finds this video, they're already going to know what I'm going to say. They already know what I'm going to say. Say it with me. Sunrise on the Reaping. Sunrise on the Reaping destroyed my life and soul. This is my favourite of Suzanne Collins' books that I have read. I've read all of the Hunger Games set. That's it. I don't even know if she has any more books. I think she does. But this is the best of them, in my opinion. But that is coming from somebody I find propaganda fascinating. I think it's one of the most interesting things ever. Psyops. I did like a whole module on psyops for my degree in my second year. And like more so like art psyops because I did a fine art degree. So I was looking at like American propaganda art primarily. But I just think psyops is so interesting, and this book is so much about the manipulation of information, about what we are told and what we're not told, and how that affects our perception of the world and of world events. And particularly as things are happening right now. Oh, Susan Collins. Oh, it's just such a good book. It's such a good book. I love Haymitch. I love Haymitch. I think he's so fascinating. Oh, the problem with this book is I can't talk about it without spoilers. I can't. Haymitch has a particular line towards the start of this book that, having read the first trilogy, makes you want to die. And it did make me want to die. The whole book made me want to die in the best way possible. I truly think that she's a master of her craft, and this for me is her magnum opus. It's really as simple as that. Yes, this is also kind of cheating because like this is also a sequel. Actually, it's a prequel, so technically it doesn't apply to the next book. The next question. Book? What? What am I even on about? However, what does apply to my next question is the best sequel you read so far, and that would be Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. This was my favourite of the trilogy. I loved it so much. I think I said it. I know damn well I said it because I filmed it like 5 minutes ago. This man drones on and on for hours and hours about anything, and I love it. I love it. I think it's so good. The all three of them, because look at my beautiful set. Look at them. They're so small. They're so small compared to other books, but that's fine. You know, size doesn't matter. They took me so long to get through. So long to get through. Well, I say that. They really didn't. It took me less than a month to get through all 3 of them. I finished the first one. The first one took me 9 days. The second one took me 9 days. And I was invigilating my degree show for Return of the King. So even with a couple of days of break from it, it still only took me 5 days. So they didn't take me a long time. But for me, in my head, they took me quite a while. They felt so much longer because the chapters are just crazy long. Now, I love a long book. I love a chunky book. But long chapters, I can't. I really struggle with a long chapter. Because I'm like, I like having checkpoints. I like being... Because in my head, I always read books in 5s. So, like, if I start reading a book, I'll tell myself, oh, I'll read 5 chapters today. And I'll put my bookmark on, like, chapter 6, like the start of chapter 6, and then I get through 5 chapters. These I had to go down to 2 because they were just so long. Like, the chapters were just so long. I don't know why I'm talking about that. I'm supposed to be talking about this book specifically. It was the Ents, man. The Ents really won me over. They really, really did. Tolkien holds such a reverence for trees. And I know that that's like a meme that he goes on and on and on about trees. But he just has so much respect for nature. And it seeps through the words of the book. Like, I don't think I've ever felt more, like, heart-wrenchingly attached to trees as like, entity. I have The Hidden Lives of Trees on my books to buy list now because of this book. Because I was like, you're right, Mr. Tolkien, I don't know enough about trees. I don't know enough, I don't respect them enough. I need to respect them more. He gives them such power, and I think it was in my review, like, he gives them such power in both their abilities, like, they destroy the place that they are supposed to destroy. Can I give spoilers for Lord of the Rings? Hasn't, like, basically everybody seen that? If you don't want spoilers for Lord of the Rings, yeah. They ruin Isengard. They destroy Isengard so badly. Even though, like, the last march of the Ents and the fact that they're like, we'll march because even if we die, we know we'll be doing it for a bigger cause than us. Like, we'll be doing it for something that's bigger than us. And then they get there and just wreck the place like it's nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean last march of the Ents? What do you mean? So they have, like, physical power. Like, they could destroy anybody. I mean, even the Ents that have, like, lost their powers destroy the orcs that are attacking Helm's Deep. But he also gives them power in, like, their speech and the way that they convey themselves and the way that other characters receive them. There's not a single character who meets the Ents who doesn't have a deep respect for them, who we're supposed to like. And you know what? The same is true for the whole series of Frodo and Sam and the other hobbits, and the way that anybody who meets them ends up having this really deep respect for them, even if they're not necessarily creatures you think of. And I just really like that. I just think he writes characters and their relationships so beautifully. I feel like, I mean, it's not hard to come across books that have, like, platonic love in them. But these books, you can feel it. Like, you're not just reading that these characters love each other. And even though I think a couple of them do say directly, like, oh, I love you, they don't need to say it. Whereas I feel like a lot of the time in modern, particularly in, like, romantasy, like, if the direct dialogue wasn't there, I wouldn't necessarily feel that a character felt a type of way about another character. But this book, the love that all of the characters have for each other and the respect that they all have for each other, just, it, like, emanates from the book. I like this. I like these. You actually could script that. I like these. They're good. They're really, really good. Oh, a new release you haven't read but want to. Ah, okay, so this is like things that have come out. First and foremostly, let me make sure that this is actually out and that I'm not just being silly. No, 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 not out. Not out yet. That's the next one. That's the next one. Oh gosh, I don't know. A new release that I haven't read before. Oh, The Devils by J.R.R. Abercrombie. We'll go with that one. I've never read a J.R.R. Abercrombie. Currently, I'm slowly collecting Brandon Sanderson's books to start reading his. So I'm like, I don't want to commit to J.R.R. Abercrombie's massive long backlist. But The Devils interests me. I'm very, very, very interested in The Devils. It's basically about a dodgy priest who teams up with criminals, I think, to put a thief girl on the throne because she's actually a princess. Cool as hell, right? I might have butchered that whole synopsis. Let me give it a Google. It is going to be part of a series, which is a little bit off-putting, but it's the first one, so it's okay. It's on my Christmas list, so we'll see. Yeah, so it says, his new flock is made up of unrepentant murderers, practitioners of ghastly magic, outright monsters. So, the mission he's tasked with will require bloody measures from them all in order to achieve its righteous ends. It has elves in it? Sorry, I actually didn't know that it had elves in it. Elves lurk at our borders and hunger for our flesh. Oh my god. I actually didn't know that. I'm now even more like I really, really want to read it because elves are done so dirty and like, listen, loved him. Loved him. I wish that elves and fae showed up as like meanies in more fiction. There is going to be loads. I just don't personally know of them. But like, honestly, Carden from The Cruel Prince, I had my issues with that book. Not a huge fan of the pairing. I know, controversial, sorry. But like the fae in Cruel Prince, like the whole trilogy, are like the closest thing to like truth, like what I imagine the fae would be like. Like they're mean, they're not nice, they're cruel and don't care about mortals and will trick you and will find that funny. So the idea of evil elves and like religious horror, sign me up, baby. So yeah, The Devils by J.R.R. Abercrombie. This one's a bit of a cheat because it's technically a new release and an old release that I still haven't read yet, but Cassandra Clare's new one. The new one's called RAGpicker King, the first one's called Swordcatcher. My mum owns them and I really, really want to borrow them because, I mean, the covers are just gorgeous. The covers are stunning. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Swordcatcher, even though that's not the one that was released this year. But I don't even want to read the blurb for the RAGpicker King because what if there's spoilers? It's about a swordcatcher, which is basically the prince's stand-in in case you get stabbed, which is crazy, and a magic girl? Yeah, girl. A magic girl. After a failed assassination attempt brings the two characters together, they are drawn into the web of the mysterious RAGpicker, not RAGpicker. I thought it was RAGpicker this entire time. RAGpicker King, the criminal ruler of Castellane's underworld. So I'm thinking, Casbreaker. Is the RAGpicker King going to be like Casbreaker? Because I hope so. And then there's the second one, which has fairly recently came out. I think it came out like early this year, called the RAGpicker King, apparently. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, crikey. I have quite a long list of anticipated reads for the rest of this year, which is a really bad idea because of how long my TBR is and then how long my books to buy list is. However, I can't stop myself from looking because I have an unhealthy obsession with looking at new releases. I actually got NetGalley today so that I could look at new releases. So as I look at my list, I honestly couldn't tell you which of these are already out like this month or not. So you know what? I know that I already kind of did new releases. But I'm just going to shove anticipated reads and new releases in the same category, and then I'll just tell you about some of the books that I know came out like very recently or are coming out. First and foremostly is A Treachery of Swans, which is a sapphic retelling of Swan Lake, where Odette and Odile... I was so excited for it, and I will be listening to Swan Lake Opus 20 over and over and over and over again whilst I read it, because I love Swan Lake. It's my favourite ballet ever. I've seen it live once. Brilliant. Oh, I loved it so much, and I will be watching it every single time I am able to until the day I... What else is there? Oh, If I Told You I'd Have to Kiss You. I know that this is coming out in July this month. I don't know whether it's out or coming out this month, so apologies. But it's like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibe. It's a sapphic book, which I want to read more sapphic books because I feel like I've only ever read straight romance and then like one gay like male romance. And that needs to change. I think I need some sapphic romance in my life. Maybe that will be the key to unlock my love for romance. Because I don't think I've ever read... Oh, I have read a book with a sapphic romance in it. I read... Oh no, where is it? I read Legends and Lattes this year, actually. And it was alright. I enjoyed it. It was like a one-day stint. I literally think I read it on New Year's Day. And there we go. Beautiful cover. Love the cover. I'm not interested in the second one because it's a prequel, I think. And I'm like, what's the fucking point in that? Okay. But I quite enjoyed this. And this does have a sapphic romance in it. I don't know why I was telling you that. That is not the category we are on right now. What was I talking about? Oh, the sapphic romance. They're both spies. One's a field spy, one's a computery spy. They work for the same company and then they break up because they can't tell the other that they work as a spy, and then they're put on a mission together and assumably discover that the other one is also a spy and also works for the same company. So it's like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibe, but instead of working for opposite spy companies, they work for the same spy company. But because they use code names, I believe, if I remember correctly, the code names are really cringy, but I can look past that. That's fine. But it sounds really good, and I really want to get into romance, people. I'm not a romance hater. I swear I'm not a romance hater. I'm really trying to find good romance. I just haven't managed to so far. Oh, actually, something that I'm super interested at the moment. Why are there so many like horror thriller books coming out that are about like health retreats? There's at least 2 coming out this year. One is The Retreat by Gemma Fairclough. The other one is, this is the coolest title ever, it's called Breathe In, Bleed Out. Genius. That's genius. And the cover is gorgeous. That's by Brian Macaulay. And they're both set at health retreats. And I'm intrigued by this. I wonder why that's a thing right now, to set things... Not necessarily that it's like a thing right now. But I feel like I've seen other books that have like come out recently or are coming out that are also set at like similar settings, and that's intriguing to me. I wonder if it's because like there's obviously like a lot of discussion about whether or not these places are like bogus and whether or not they're like fake, and a lot of the time they tend to be quite culty, which is why I'm super into The Retreat by Gemma Fairclough, because if I remember correctly, that one seems very culty, and I like a fictional cult. And again, similar to the propaganda thing, I'm really interested in like the psychology of cults. I'm really interested in reading some more non-fiction about cults, or like how cults mindsets work. So there are a couple of non-fiction books. One of them is called Cultish, which is about like how capitalism and products use cult language to attract people to their products. And then another one is called Contagious: Why Things Catch On, which is similar, but it's more just about like how trends occur and like how that kind of cult mentality works on people. I don't think it's really geared, like that one isn't geared towards like cults, but I'm intrigued by the whole psychology of like why cults happen. And I think that like trends and stuff are kind of in the same strain, like psychologically. So I'm really intrigued by things like that. So particularly The Retreat by Gemma Fairclough, very, very interested in. Also, Gemma Fairclough's book is part of a series, part of the Northern Weird Project, which is being run by Wild Hunt Books, and it's basically just weird horror-y books set in the north. It's like northern England. I'm from the north, so to me it is just the north. The other one of these books is called Don't Call Mom. Well, don'ts in like brackets, so it's like don't call mom. And it's about a train, but then there's like things like the train breaks down in the middle of nowhere at night, and something, it says, as night falls, something or someone steps out of the distance. Is it a man or something more sinister? When one of the passengers goes missing, Leo fears that a folkloric tale whispered to him in childhood might be the culprit. I'm really interested in like folklore and like folklore retellings, or like just folklore inspired books, so I'm particularly interested in those two from that Northern Weird Project. And now we be a hater. And now we be a hater. Fucking hated it. Fucking hated it. DNF'd it before 50%, and I can tell you why. Lila is actually the worst person on the planet. She's actually the worst person on the planet. She's the most unbearable character I think I might have ever read. Witcher Steeped in Gold, I thought that... No, Jazz was the other one. One of the characters in that was the worst character ever, but I actually think Lila might be worse. Because the character in Witcher Steeped in Gold was just... These are the two books, these are the only two books I've ever DNF'd. They're the only books I think I've ever actually hated, so I'm sort of comparing them quite a lot, so I apologise for that. But in my brain, they're like the only bad books I have to put against each other. So the character in Witcher Steeped in Gold was annoying, and everybody acted like she was the cat's cream, but she was actually just kind of shit. And that annoyed the hell out of me, because she and everyone else, like, licked her fucking boots. Even she was licking her own boots, and she was just dumb. Lila is actually evil. She is Satan. She is Voldemort. She is Umbridge. She is every evil character to ever exist. This woman does horrific things. Oh, I mean, I didn't read far enough into the book to like truly understand everything that she'd done. The two things, I'm going to spoil it. I'm sorry. I'm going to spoil Will They Won't They. I'm going to spoil it because I need to get it out. I need to get it out. So if you don't want spoilers for Will They Won't They, oh my god. So from what I could tell, she is an actress. She and the love interest, the male love interest, were part of a little TV show where they were like superheroes, I think. And she quit the show. They fell in love on the show. They dated, and then they broke up dead messy. That's all you find out at the start of the book, is that it's really messy. And she ended up leaving the show. She ditched it. Went in a movie, totally flopped. And now she's back in the show. And like basically the entire crew hates her because she ditched. Shane is the male in like love interest, and basically he's just like an arsehole. He's just a bit of a dickhead. But Lila, I'm pretty sure it's mentioned that she like cheated on him. No, she didn't cheat on him. They broke up, and her way of coping with that was by getting his best friend sacked. Not him, his friend sacked, and then sleeping with his other friend. But he's the problem. Like, he went out and was, like, sleazing around bars or whatever, and she took issue with that because he's a man, and therefore, like, you know, that was, like, kind of interesting commentary about, like, the way that men in Hollywood act is reacted to very differently to the way that women act. But the whole point was just that Leela was pissed about that. She was pissed that he could go and sleep around publicly to, like, rub it in her face, but she couldn't do that to him. So instead she gets one best friend fired and sleeps with the other best friend. I'm like, girl, you're crazy. I'm like, you are not okay up here. Actually, I'm reading my review now, and I literally put, Lila's mental health issues would be an interesting aspect to her character if she wasn't also the worst. Because it is mentioned that she has anxiety, and, like, that's kind of interesting. And, like, I put as well in my little review thing on Goodreads, I was like, the commentary on misogyny in Hollywood was, like, fine, but it felt kind of flat, because it felt like that the author was just using that to justify Lila being a bad person, and, like, doing the vindictive things she does to Shane to, like, get her own back on the fact that Hollywood, or, like, as a celebrity, he's treated better because he's a man. And that justifies the things that she did. Basically, like, I'm not even casting judgment. I mean, I am massively casting judgment on her as a character. I don't even care about that. I'm just like, these two people could never, ever be together again. Their entire thing that is still connecting them romantically is just that they want to have sex. And that's not enough for me. I don't mind smut in a book, you know, we all love a bit of smut in a book, but it's not enough to carry a book for me. So the fact that they were, like, sexually attracted to each other was it. That was it. In my head, I'm like, these two people do not belong together. They are so toxic together. Because Shane's an arsehole too. Like, they're both just terrible people, or at least terrible people when they're with each other. And I'm not going to read a romance about a couple that I'm not rooting for. So, DNF'd it. Biggest disappointment. This was the first straight romance I've ever tried to read. Ever, I think. And it flopped massively. And it was such a disappointment. But, you know, whatever. Biggest surprise, to go to a higher note. Please, I don't want to think about this book anymore. I'm going to go between two. I actually don't remember what I rated the other one, so we'll see. Did rate it 5 stars. Okay, I'll talk about both of them. Because, you know, we all love a long booktube video. So, my two biggest surprises are actually two very, very different books to what I typically read. Both of these actually have backstory. So this one I read in sixth form, so 17, 18. I had to write an essay on it. I didn't finish the book, I don't think. Oh, maybe I did finish the book because I knew about something that happened and spent the entire book like, I swear that happened. And then it does happen at the end. So I must have finished it. But I really enjoyed this. I think I enjoyed it the first time. But again, even though I chose to do English literature for sixth form, because I've always loved books, and I've always been pretty decent at, like, English literature classes, and I chose to do it, I really just wasn't enjoying reading. And I really was sort of just forcing myself to read things for class at that point. So, I liked it enough to give it a second chance. I definitely didn't appreciate it enough the first time. This is so witty and tongue-in-cheek and fucked up. The whole story is just so fucked up. This is if you like fucked up family drama, this is the book for you. Everyone in this book is a mess. They're not well. They're crazy. This story is crazy. Basically, it's about these two twin girls who their father was like a really big Shakespearean theatre actor. I don't actually remember, 40s, I think. It goes throughout their entire life, so it starts with their birth, pretty much, and then it finishes when they're old ladies. It's such, like, a character study. Like, there's not a lot going on in this book, other than people talking and Dora observing things and feeling things. But, like, all the characters are fascinating and they're all messed up. That's what this is. I hope, I've never read a Mona Awad book, but people say that they're very weird, and I hope that they're this weird. Like Angela Carter, I think this is Angela Carter. It's called Vintage Carter, so I'd assume so. Yeah, this is Angela Carter. You know, she's known for her, like, twisted writing, and she's known for making very weird stories. And when I eventually read Mona Award, I hope she's very much like Carter, because it's just a trip, you know? It's such a roller coaster to read, even if there's not a lot plot-wise going off. And as a Shakespeare fan as well, great book. Because there's so many, like, the entire family is like a theatre performing family, which, if you're interested in theatre, that's all this book is about, basically. And just the prose is just really, I mean, it's an Angela Carter, you know? The voice of the narrator is so strong. You can, like, it's like you're being told the story verbally. And I've never listened to an audiobook, but this is as close to an audiobook in written format that I think I've ever heard. Why is London like Budapest? A, because it is two cities divided by a river. Good morning, let me introduce myself. My name is Dora Chance. Welcome to the wrong side of the tracks. Put it another way, if you're from the States, think of Manhattan, then think of Brooklyn. See what I mean? Like, her prose reads as poetry. Gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And like mixed with the super twisted, messed up family. Oh, it's just such a ride, and I really, really enjoyed it. The other surprise was Atonement. I was gifted this book by my teacher when I finished GCSEs, because she knew that I was going on to do English Lit. She knew at that point that I wanted to go into, I wanted to go to uni for English literature, and I wanted to do like creative writing and stuff for degree. So she gifted me this book because she said that it was almost definitely going to be on my syllabus. It wasn't. And that at some point I was going to have to study this book. So she gave it to me and she was like, I think you'll get a lot out of it. 7 years later, I had not read it. I kept putting it off because I knew how the story started. It has a very, very triggering central theme to the start. Of like the inciting incident is an incredibly triggering scene, and I wasn't sure I wanted to read it. I have almost gotten rid of this book several times, but my guilt for letting that teacher down, even though I have not spoken to her in like 5 to 7 years, if I got rid of this book, she would know no different. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't let go of it. And I was like, fuck it. I was like, I'll just try and read it. And then I loved it. I really don't mind an unreliable or unlikable character. And Bryony is the prime example of that. Because I hate Bryony as a person. And I love Bryony as a character. I think she is fascinating. Particularly when you get Twilighted at the end. Sorry, that's a spoiler. But you get Twilighted a little bit at the end. Where it's like, you think something's happened and then they're like, oh, actually. I always refer to it as twilighting because I'm scarred forever from those movies. I will read those eventually, actually. I might do a vlog reading those videos. That's crazy. What is wrong with me? I just really enjoyed it. I just think it was such a solid story. And Cecilia and Robbie will forever make me want to cry because they're just so loyal to each other, and that's so precious. And how do you even put into words how you feel about Atonement? Because it's a really interesting story about redemption, obviously, but more about like, what is redemption? If you do something that is as bad as what Bryony did, can you ever come past that? Should you ever go past that? I don't even think that McEwen knows the answer to that. I don't think he answered it, and I don't think he wanted to answer it. I'm not saying that he wanted to answer it, but I don't think he intended to answer it. If you make a decision that quite literally ruins somebody's life, how are you supposed to come back from that? Like if you do it when you're a kid or when you're in a vulnerable position and you don't really consider the consequences of what you're doing. You're just so in the moment. Because, like, I think whilst it's almost certainly not on the scale of Bryony, everybody has done things that they regret that sort of, like, haunt them at night, right? Like, everybody talks about, like, embarrassing moments that keep them up at night, or, like, things that they've done in their life that keep them up at night. But it's like, if that happens for, like, silly things, like saying the wrong thing at dinner, how do you come back knowing that you ruined someone's life? And I think Bryony is such an interesting character study about that. Don't want to, like, rant about this one as much because I'm like, just read it, man. Because you hate her. You hate her. The entire book, you want to strangle this woman or this girl. But you know that there's no point because, like, does revenge change anything? No. And she knows that. You know, she knows that there is nothing that she can ever do to repay for what she did. And, how do you come back from that? How do you come back from that? And should you come back from that? Probably not. Probably not, because, again, you hate her. You don't want her to redeem herself or feel redeemed about what she did, because what she did was terrible. It's such an interesting book, and it makes you feel the feels, especially at the end when you get Twilighted. My favourite author. So, I want to say, I want to go, oh, that was very aggressive, I'm so sorry. I want to go through Tolkien's backlist. I want to read everything he's ever written. As somebody who is also big world builder, whenever I write, and, like, my notes are always twice as long as my actual outcome, I want to read everything he's ever written. I think he is a genius. I really, really do. I want to read The Hobbit and the Silmarillion, obviously, first. And The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, because that guy is interesting, and I want to know who he is, or what he is, or where he came from, or did he come from anywhere? Who knows? I'd also like to read The Bloody Chamber, because this is the only Carter that I've read. I swear that she has a messed up Red Riding Hood story, but I also know there's a messed up Red Riding Hood story in The World's Wife by Caroline Duffy, which is a poetry collection, which I also read this year. Reread this year. I read this ages ago. But there is an effed up Red Riding Hood in here, but I thought there was also one by Carter, but maybe not. But she does have a book of fairy tales, so she could well have a messed up Red Riding Hood story. But I have tons. I have 3 Caroline Duffy books, including this one, so I have 2 more to get through, and there are others. And I actually really enjoyed this. I've never been a big poetry person. However, Caroline Duffy really hits the spot. Where I lived, winter and hard earth, I sat in my cold stone room, choosing tough words, granite, flint, to break the ice. My broken heart, I tried that, but it skimmed, flat, over the frozen lake. She came from a long, long way, but I saw her at last, walking, my daughter, my girl, across the fields, in bare feet, bringing all spring's flowers to her mother's house. I swear the air softened and warmed as she moved, the blue sky smiling none too soon, with the small, shy mouth of a new moon. I just think that's really beautiful. And Demeter, listen, I'm a Hades and Persephone girl, okay? In fiction, questionable. I've never read a good Persephone and Hades retelling, but we'll not talk about that. But I feel like Demeter's given such a terrible rep, and she's always made out to be the villain in the story. And I'm like, maybe when it comes to discussing the gods, we just don't really need a villain. Maybe they're all just nuanced. Maybe they're all just not good, not bad, because gods don't really work like that. So I think, I don't know, villainizing Demeter, I've never enjoyed it very much, making her seem like she's evil. But that's also because me and gods are a bit dodgy. I am, scared that they exist. Any of them. I literally, if I'm talking about, Thor and Loki in the Avengers, I'll specify when I make comments about them that I'm talking about Marvel's Loki, or Marvel's Thor, or Percy Jackson's Zeus, because I'm not looking to get smited. So I think the villainizing gods, Scary. Not my personal cup of tea. Oh, anyway. Favourite characters. Let's talk about good things. So I don't have book boyfriends because, I don't know, I found that a bit strange, personally. But I love Nikolai with all of my heart. He's the closest thing I would consider myself to having, like, a book boyfriend. I love Nikolai. I think that he's one of the coolest characters ever. She kind of preferred his banter with Alina. Alina? Was that her name? I think so. I don't really enjoy Shadow and Bone that much. Okay, I loved Six of Crows, loved Crooked Kingdom. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Wasn't a huge Shadow and Bone fan, but loved Nikolai. Was super excited to read these. I'm satisfied with the ending. But I do think his banter was slightly better with Alina, but we don't need to talk about that. I'd probably argue that he's probably my favourite character out of any of the books. However, and I wouldn't even consider this a new favourite character because I loved Sam in the movies. Sam was my favourite character in the movies, and he was my favourite character in the books. So, also not really a new favourite. Do I have any new favourite characters? Macy Donna. Sorry. Macy Donna is the biggest icon of the century. Loved her. Loved Macy. She's my favourite. She's my babe. Loved her. Macy Donna, you will always be famous to me. Macy Donna has no fans. I am dead. I am deceased. I am gone just like she is. Do any of these even have shit? Oh, I guess Robbie and Cecilia. That works, right? Robbie and Cecilia have my heart. Anyway. A book that made you cry. Okay. Oh, God. Was this it? Yeah, this is it. This is the collection of books that made me cry. Literally anything can make me cry. I don't want to give spoilers for that, so I'm not really talking about... it's a Hunger Games book. Obviously I cried. Ending. Twilight. Evil. Ents. This one, it was mostly the appendix, I'm not gonna lie. The ending, because I didn't... Again, I don't care, I'm gonna give spoilers for Lord of the Rings. So again, I don't know why you came back if you didn't want spoilers the first time. I didn't know that Sam went west. I didn't know that it was the only thing... Because it doesn't happen in the movies, it was basically the only thing I didn't know. I thought that he stayed in the Shire forever and ever and ever. So when I read that he did eventually go west after his wife died, I started sobbing. And then I did skip a lot of the appendixes because I just don't really care about the men very much. I read the one about the dwarves, and I don't believe there was anything really about the elves. There was a little bit, but not loads. And then I came across the timeline, like the post-Ring timeline. The fact that Merry and Pippin travel to Gondor so that no member of the Fellowship rests alone. I could cry about it right now. I really could. Because most of them go west, and then Aragorn decides to stay in Gondor, even though he could go west if he wanted, and he decides to stay and rule till he dies. And Merry and Pippin go and are buried with him. That made me sob and sob and sob and sob. Just so in one of the appendixes, there's like a timeline of everything that happens after the events. The two ones that made me really cry was Death of Mistress Rose, wife of Master Samwise, on Mid-Year's Day. On September 22nd, Master Samwise rides out from Bag End. He comes to the Tower Hills and is last seen by Alinor, to whom he gives the Red Book, afterwards kept by the Fairbairns. Among them, the tradition is handed down from Alinor that Samwise passed the towers and went to the Grey Havens and passed over the sea, last of the ring bearers. Which also, the fact that Tolkien does consider Sam a ring bearer means so much to me. Because I don't think that's ever properly acknowledged in the movies either. And, oh god, these books ruined me. I cannot even explain to you. And then the final piece of the timeline says, 1541, in this year, on March 1st, came at last the passing of King Elessar, Aragorn. It is said that the beds of Meriadoc and Peregrine were set beside the bed of the great king. Then Legolas built a grey ship in Ithilien and sailed down Anduin and so oversea, and with him, it is said, went Gimli the dwarf. And when that ship passed, an end was come in Middle-earth of the Fellowship of the Ring. I cannot explain enough what these books did to me. What they did to me. To the point where they're the reason I'm reading Spin the Dawn and Unravel the Dusk, because I finished these and then I read the only book I actually haven't spoken about yet, which was Corrections in Ink, which is a very, very heavy non-fiction about the author's experience of the American prison system, and about drugs and addiction and how you come back from that and how you heal from that. Incredible book, very heavy. And I finished it and I was like, I just want something like light-hearted, and I was like, I'm desperate for fantasy because of these books. But I was like, nothing's gonna do this. I was like, nothing is gonna hit this hard without being like heavy. So, and then I was right, because I'm not massively enjoying the Spin the Dawn trilogy, but I don't know, I'm gonna be reading a lot more fantasy this year because this has so put me in the mood for it. Whew. Okay. A book that made me happy. Oh no, I've read a lot of miserable books this year. Legends of Lattes was happy. That was fine. It was just fun. It was just a quick, fun... This is like the like... the culmination of cozy, you know, how like cozy fantasy is a thing right now. This is like the cozy fantasy, in my opinion. It's about coffee shops. It's about fantasy coffee shops. It's good. It was a solid book. Look, it's not War and Peace, alright? I've never read War and Peace. It could be crap for all I know. It's not Lord of the Rings, alright, but it was alright. It was fun. It was happy. And it ended nicely, which is a good thing. It didn't make me sob at the end. That's not the last one. Whatever. Stop talking about Lord of the Rings. It's fine. A beautiful book I bought this year. I think I bought them this year, actually. And that is the books I'm currently reading. Where's the second one? What did I do with it? Listen, I know that I've just been kind of chatting shit about them, but look how gorgeous these books are. Oh, look how stunning they are. Gorgeous. I'm pretty sure I bought those this year. I'm really trying hard not to buy books at the moment because Lord knows I don't need any more, realistically. Oh! Do gifts count? I was literally bought these exclusively because they were beautiful. Beautiful books I have bought this year. So, obviously, the two that I've already shown. Call of Cthulhu with this really cool cover that comes with 3D glasses that I have not removed from the inside of the packet because I'll never ever, I'll lose them, they'll go, and I'll never see them again. But I don't know, it's kind of cool. Love a bit of Cthulhu. I've not read any of it. Look how big it is. But again, I'm getting more into horror, so... And then this one was... the rest of them were actually gifts. So this one was a Christmas gift, but my mum got me 12 books and packaged each of them, like, for each month. So I opened them on the 1st of the month. So, like, Legends and Lattes was my January book, which is... So technically I opened it on the 1st. But... So, technically... But yeah, so, like, I still have August to December to open. So I think this was March, the book that she wrapped up for March. And it's just gorgeous. I'm so excited to read this. But I think I'm going to wait, potentially, until the third one comes out in paperback. And then read them all together. Although I'm really trying hard not to do that. I'm really trying hard to read the first book before I buy the rest of them. But my problem is I just like to get started on the next one straight away. But maybe I'll deep end therapy myself and read this one first. I do have the second one on Libby, like saved on Libby, so I can read the second one afterwards, which is what I'll probably do. And then these two, oh, I got them for my birthday, which is in February, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Oh my god, they're so pretty. So one of them is the Waterstones special edition of Keri, which Stephen King I read, and then it's one of my favourite books of all time. I adore Keri. Please somebody give me money so that I can make a faithful movie adaptation with the right dress. Because I get it, okay? I get that the pale dress shows the blood more, right? But I don't care. I don't care. Give me that velvet red Juliet sleeves dress, please. I'm begging you. So yes, if I ever get rich, you're seeing a fourth Keri remake. You're seeing it. I don't care. I don't care. You can deal with that. You can deal with it because, good God, I really love the story. The original female rage. And then the other one is this gorgeous Frankenstein special edition. I got these again for my birthday, which is usually when I pilfer special editions from my family. I don't own a crazy amount of like really nice hardback books. I own some like old hardbacks from like the 70s of like Oscar Wilde and things like that. And then I own the special Waterstones edition of Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And then I own four Penguin hardback classics, cloth bounds. But these are the only two that I got this year, and they're gorgeous, and I love them. And I got rid of my other copy of Keri. I read Frankenstein on Kindle, so this is my first ever copy of Frankenstein. And then Keri I borrowed from my mum because she had a second copy. Still another question, which is the crazy question that I don't really know how to answer, to be honest. And that is books I want to read by the end of the year. So, obvious answer, the second one of the book that I just finished. I'm really hoping that it picks... I literally already have my bookmark in it. Look at my bookmark. My partner bought this for me, and I love it very much. I only ever read one book at a time because my brain is not big enough for multiple. And I always use the same bookmark, which is cute. So this one is definitely next. The thing is it was so good, but corrections and ink has really put me off wanting to read anything heavy. However, I did buy The Diary of Anne Frank this year. My best friend and I saw, like, we went to the museum in the house in Amsterdam last year, and it made me cry. It was so awful. And I really, really want to read the diary. Because I think just seeing... Because they have... I don't know if it's like a replica of the diary, but like you see her handwriting and stuff. And it's yeah. But I'd like to read that. But I don't know if I'll get to it this year because I don't know... You know, if I get in the mood and I feel like I can sort of handle something that's super heavy, then I'll definitely... That will be the top contender. Just surrounded by books at this point. I'm like, at least... I'm like, maybe we should stack them up a little bit, make a nice little... Oh my god, look at that, that's cute. Okay. Honestly, Godkiller might be this year as well. Just because the whole point was that these 12 books that my mom got me, I was supposed to read them like the month I got them. And then that didn't work out because I didn't read a single book from May to June. Because, was it May to June? April, May time, because I was finishing my degree. So didn't get anything read at that point. So I'm already books and books and books behind, but that's fine. I also want to read The Pact this year because I've had this on my TBR for like 3 years, and then I lost it, and then I found it. So that might be getting read. I also think these are annoying. I don't actually like them, and that's fine. I also think I will probably get to Nettle and Bone this year because I almost read that instead of Spin the Dawn because, oh my god, that book has... I think it says like a reluctant fairy godmother, a retired knight, a witch, and a possessed by a demon chicken. A chicken that is possessed by a demon. Now that sounds like a bit of me. So I might read Nettle and Bone, especially because I think T. Kingfisher has another book coming out this year that was on my... where is it? It's called Snake Eater. So might have to have a little look at that. Obviously, some of the new releases that are coming out I might get to, but again, I'm trying not to buy books, and like hard books are expensive. Hardbacks are pricey. So unless I can get them at the library, I probably won't be reading any of the new releases, or at least until Christmas. Yeah, I probably won't be reading any of the new releases until Christmas because I do have a couple on my Christmas list. But speaking of holidays, there we go. I used a segue. Speaking of holidays, Halloween is coming up. And I read a lot of spooky, mystery, rah books. However, I do like to really concentrate them around October, just because it's fun. I've never celebrated... I think I've been trick-or-treating like twice my entire life. I don't celebrate Halloween, really, but it's just fun. It's just fun to read spooky books in Spooky Month. I'm also going to Spain in October, so I'm going to be on a beach reading vampire books because I want to read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, who potentially also has a book coming out, or has a book that just came out. I don't know. But this, I believe, is a retelling of Dracula from the perspective of Dracula's wives. Just have some very gorgeous art on the cover. Is there any on the back? Oh, stunning. And then this is my only book with fancy sprayed edges. I own a couple of paperbacks with sprayed edges, but I hate paperbacks with sprayed edges. I kind of hate all books with sprayed edges, but I quite like this. I actually have this on my shelf with the sprayed edges out, which I know is like so cliche, but I don't know, it's pretty, and it's prettier than the other side, in my opinion. So, still on October, I really want to try and read Salem's Lot. I'm trying to read Stephen King as much in publication order as possible, which already went out the window because I read Carrie first, and then I read The Shining, so that immediately went out the window. But I am trying to sort of stick to publication order, or at least sticking to like the early books. So I own The Stand in hardback. Ooh. But I'm planning on potentially reading Salem's Lot this year. I cannot find it at the library, or at least not on Libby. So before I go on holiday, I might try and take it out of the library. And I might try and read some more Agatha Christie, because I haven't read any at all this year, and I'd like to. Because that's really the only series, but I like, they're standalones, right? Like, they're a continuation, but each book is its own self-contained story. So I don't feel, not like Godkiller, where it's like, there might be a cliffhanger. Like, none of them are going to have cliffhangers, and if they do, I'm probably going to know about it going into it, so I'll be prepared for that. I don't think I'll get round to Brandon Sanderson, just because I think I might have gotten the Mistborn trilogy for Christmas already, so I'm not going to be seeing that until much later in the year. So I don't think I'll have a chance. Oh, Hera by Jennifer Saint. I have read all three of Jennifer Saint's previous books, and I have Atalanta and Hera signed. I bought them both on day of release. I really love her books. I think they're really fascinating. Scared for the new one because it's the first one of this like collection. I don't know if she has any other books. It's the first one of the collection that has like a different style title, because obviously you have Ariadne, Electra, Atalanta, and then Hera, so it's all like the name of the focal character. But then the new one is about Aphrodite and Ares, I believe, and it has like a different title. And I'm so scared that they aren't going to have matching spines, because all of her books match beautifully. They look gorgeous on the shelf, and I'm so scared that the new one isn't going to look the same. Anyway, I want to read Hera. That is on the list for the year. And then I have a couple of books that I said that I will try and get rid of or like try and donate if I don't get to them. So one of them is a play called Our Country's Good. I owned it for sixth form because I did theatre. Never finished it because COVID hit. and I told myself that if I don't read it this year, I will let that one go. I also have A Key in the Lock, which is like a historical fiction, but it like switches timelines and stuff. I don't know how much I'll enjoy it. Like it just isn't really like calling to me anymore, but it's not off-putting me either. So I said that if I don't read that, I will get it gone. And then a couple of like middle grade type books where I was like, I just think I'm gonna have outgrown them, but they still sound kind of interesting. So if I don't get to those, I'll be saying goodbye to those. Those are Ali Carter's series. I think it's Ali Carter. The Gallagher Girls series. So the first one is I'd Tell You I Love You, but then I'd Have to Kill You. I think I own the first two, which is also putting me off because there's so many. And it's like, you know, if I get into them, then I have to buy the rest of them or like find them. And then the other one's called Hoot Cat Hill. I just kept it because it's pretty. I'll show you. Look. It's got an owl on it, and it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of pretty. So I was like, I want to keep it, but I don't even really remember what it was about. Earthquakes. Her dad makes brews. Oh, and people vanish. Okay, maybe that one's gone slightly higher on the priority list. You know, didn't hear it from me. That's it. I have an hour and a half of footage, which is crazy. I did it. It was fun. I love chatting about books. That was underwhelming on this side, wasn't it? I just like books, you know? Most of these aren't even... Anyway. What am I on about? End the video.